Hey, my wonderful, wonderful, lovely, 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 handsome, handsome, handsome people. A pleasant afternoon to everybody. All right, beautiful, wonderful people. I want you to listen to this post because, again, it can save your relationships. It can save your marriages, both men and women. I'm tired of seeing maybe for every one person that gets married, the next person gets divorced. So it's like the hamster running in the hamster's wheel. We're going nowhere. It's like a waste of, so-called expressing love with one another, and it ends up in hate. It's not harmonious. It is not filled with unity and love and affection, tenderness, gentleness, self-control, and patience, as well as forgiveness. We need to mitigate the damaging, decaying relationships, especially marriages. And this goes for both secular and sacred, meaning in the church and out of the church. Both the church and the secular running neck and neck in terms of divorce. Can you imagine? The very thing that God says he hates. The very thing. But Moses created it because men's heart, the male one especially, were hardened. So he came up with that decree. Obviously, God gave him, the what it is to do. So you have the Mosaic law. And that is why they talk about except for unfaithfulness, marital unfaithfulness. Many have said it's sexual like adultery and so on. For me, it's expansive. And I'm going to list the reasons why it would be. And this is not in God's perfect will because he hates divorce. Humans hate it too. Even for the divorce that people can't wait to come to get and to leave that relationship. They will tell you how arduous it was on them mentally and psychologically and emotionally. They're going to tell you that it broke them even when they really want to come out. But it is in his permissive will. So it is not in his perfect will, but he will allow it. Because the human valuing God and valuing oneself is more important than saying you're going to be stuck in a marriage. Because of, the fact that, because God says he hates marriage. God puts the human life above an inanimate thing in a sense, although it's linked spiritually. Adultery, especially when it is acute. So either party decides that they're not going to stop having extramarital affairs. That's a disrespect, a dishonor, a disgrace to your relationship. It means you do not value, you do not cherish. I won't say you don't have any love, but you have no remorse as it relates to the man or the woman. You decide that you're just going to have extramarital affairs. You're going to continue seeing the outside man or woman, as the case may be. So for the woman, she sees the outside man. For the man, he sees the outside. And he's not going to stop because the sex is good or the woman is his peace. And she gets money from the man. And let me tell you, you don't realize that you're sowing seeds of destruction. And the man, what he does understand about the seed. Remember, the Bible talks about the curse falling on the third and the fourth generation to those who are rebellious. Sometimes you wonder how the child comes out this way. You wonder how, you raise them one way and they come out another way. You have to look at the seeds that you have sown. You have to look at the seeds that you have sown. So, yeah. And once a person refuses to change, you have all right to go. God is not expected to tolerate that. And I'm talking about somebody who refuses to change. Note my words. Good. Abuse of all kinds. Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial. Leave. Go. And the financial is more in favor of the woman. I'm talking about in favor of the woman. Do not die in the marriage. God values the human life over the marriage. The inanimate object, though it is linked spiritually, God values the human, because God can use you to bring others to the kingdom. If you're dead, you can't be used because you'll be dead. The story is told of a particular man who was abusing his wife physically, beating her, go and come, night and day. She went to the church, the pastor, he said, no, God, divorce is not of God. She went the first time, she went back to the husband. Second time, same story. The pastor told her. Third time, same story. There wasn't a fourth time. The woman 6'6". Anyway, let me not make a comment on the pastor. God says we must rebuke them gently, and I don't feel like doing that. So we're not going to talk there. Man who refuses to provide. So he gives no money to his wife, none at all. You have cases like that. Husband and wife. Not girlfriend and boyfriend, not even fiance. And I'm not saying you mustn't give to your girlfriend or your fiance. So you may give to his mother, and may give and give to his mistress, but doesn't give to his wife. I know of a case like that too. I'm telling you, and the woman decides not to leave for whatever reason. He refuses to work, and he chooses. He doesn't have a health issue. He doesn't have a mental issue. He just is lazy. The Bible says, "If do not feed a lazy man." I don't remember it's which particular chapter in the Bible where in the New Testament it says, the man who fails to provide for his family is worse than an infidel, a cheater, which I just mentioned, where you can grounds for divorce. You're worse than the cheater. You're worse than an unbeliever. Unbeliever can be a pedophile, a rapist, a murderer, a liar, a thief. A perpetual liar, kleptomaniac. You name the different sinful type of people that we consider heinous, that we consider malevolent, that we consider creating maladies and destruction in the lives of people. The Bible says you're worse, as somebody would have said, worser than that individual. You're worse than a cheater, an unbeliever. So if the man refuses to provide for his wife financially, she can leave. All grounds, go ahead. It's not God's perfect will for people to divorce, but it is in his permissive will. Sexlessness, which I mentioned, and this is usually women. You cannot do that to the man. You are telling him subliminally and even overtly, in a sense, in your actions. Let me say it. You're saying it overtly in your actions, but subliminally you're saying, cheat on me. You might not think that's what you're doing, but that is what you're doing or forcing him to do. Men, based on their physiological makeup, they need sex. They need it. Like how we need food, shelter, and clothing, they need it. Even us, we're supposed to explore our bodies fully. That's where the full functional capabilities of our bodies, we need to explore it, but we have to explore them in the right way and at the right time. When you're married, you're saying, all right, baby, my body belongs to you. And he says, baby, my body belongs to you. We don't cheat on each other. We don't not give each other sex because we vex with one another on simple matters that we can just settle a moment and come together. The Bible says if you're going to part for fasting, but you do it, but you don't make it extended. On top of you fast for months. No, you have to be careful when you're in a marriage situation. If you're single, that's different. And the fifth one is occultism, devil worshipping, satanism. That is for people who are in the Christian faith. So you're a Christian. As a matter of fact, the Bible says, do not be unequally yoked. Although that can work even in Christendom. You can have one Christian person and another Christian, and you're still unequally yoked because your mindsets are still different. Personalities differ. Character differ. Even character, yeah? So they differ. So you still, you're not really equally yoked, but it even more so. You cannot say you're talking about Jesus Christ and he's talking about the devil. Remember when they accused Jesus and talk about he's a chief of the devil, call him Beelzebub. He has the spirit of Beelzebub. And Jesus said, you're a silly one, basically. Seems as if your emotional intelligence is very low or your intelligence quotient is limited. How can a kingdom be divided against itself? So Satan is going to preach about the devil's kingdom and come to the devil and yet speak about God. Coming to God, does that make sense to you? So you see what I'm saying? So the light and the dark cannot mix. Oil and water cannot mix. It can't. So if you find that one person decides that that's where they're going, and you're a Christian person or a Bible-believing person, and they decide and they refuse to change, and they hold steadfast to that, then you have to just say ta-ta. Because that's going to be war, and the demons that way come start to oppress you. And if you're not a Christian, possess you if you're not a Christian. You know, and that the cross is there. It's not worth it. Again, God values a human life over these inanimate, although they're spiritually linked things. The human life is most important to God. When he made us, he said, there goes a good thing that I made. Even though at one point he said, I regret when mankind sinned. So in the book of Malachi, men were divorcing women on frivolous things, teasing, not cooking the food properly, burning the food, being on a prayer, not saying to him. So that's how the divorce thing come up. But so it's in God's permissive will, not his perfect will. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of them lions and now, please.